we had developed a full script and treatments for a couple of other ideas. We had maquettes of characters. We had some storyboards. We had a lot of artwork to show what it could look like. So we did everything you would do for an animated film or for a live action film, right? Of kind of support materials to explain the project you wanted to do. And obviously we were open to exploring any other ideas or projects along that way, because, you know, maybe ours is the right one, maybe it's not. So it was really, and then we had, you know, a huge demo reel and lots of great work that we could show that, you know, we're not blowing smoke. This is the type of work we actually do. And we had done one little piece of test footage with one of the characters in the script that we had written. But we had short films, we had demo reels, we had the Pillsbury Doughboy dancing, all sorts of things. So it was easy to show that we had the capability. You know, there was a perhaps trepidation about, well, you're only 90 people and it takes a lot more than that to make a full film. And it's like, yeah, but we know how to ramp up and, you know, it won't be a problem, it'll be fine.
20 millions and we're fine.
Yeah, we had a lot of confidence, at least when we were presenting to other people.
Which is actually like the golden rule, you know, fake it till you make it and then make it afterwards. But it reminds me also on our last discussion where we actually had, when we talked about company culture, where we had this discussion about having a clear goal and a clear mindset and always checking with yourself. And I think one of the reasons that you actually did get this opportunity is, besides the high quality on Terminator and where on like all this commercial work that you did, I think that you still kept this animation part of PDI alive and kicking, basically. As I read, like 1992 was actually the animation department founded. I mean, you probably can approve or not, like the wiki article basically that I read, and that was like a huge thing. And as we talked last time, you guys literally had to decide, okay, this is going well, but this is not what we want to end up in like a few years. And I think that was one of the reasons that PDI became one of the first ones to work on that, because you invested heavily into something that was not proven or was not actually working yet. And I think that sounds like also one of the reasons why I think you got the chance, because you already had a department actually going into that.
Yeah, and then the script that we had that we were taking around didn't magically appear out of thin air. Tim Johnson, who was the head of our character animation department and one of our main character animators, he actually took 6 months off. He was, you know, on the payroll working, but 6 months of just working on story development, of writing the script, of working on the characters, using the team, obviously, writing a lot of drafts on the script, getting feedback from other professionals in the industry about it. So there was a lot of work of being able to have ideas, materials, storyboards, maquettes, all the pitch material to walk in and pitch to these people. It's like, yes, we know what we're doing. We're not telling you we could, if you have a animated film you want to make, we can make it. It's like we have it all, right down to a script, and with a little bit of cash infusion, we can turn it into a movie. And it was that level of commitment to, no, we're going to do this. And we, you know, it's not just you have the people and the capacity to do it. You have to have the creative chops and the ideas and the commitment to produce your own stuff if you're not producing someone else's.
Yeah, and actually I think that's what I love about this whole founding days of animation and founding days of games, is this overinvestment in the beginning. You know, there was not just like, I feel like I could do it. I would like, if I would have the time and the money, it will suddenly appear in some years. It was literally like you were building up on so many fronts at the same time, which I believe you should do like in your personal life too. You know, if you want to, for example, make a game, you know, maybe you never did a game in your life and you want to make the next World of Warcraft or Red Dead Redemption or something like that. It's not enough to just kind of, I have like modeling skills or something like that. You should actually make games before in some capacity before you just found a company and then just like, if I would have 50 million, I would do the next GTA 7 or something like that. I think that's something we really need to learn. And nowadays, again, basically because we have so much opportunities and knowledge and accessibility that we sometimes forget to do the millions of steps that we actually need to do before we can prove actually that we do it in the end. Just the money and the time will not suddenly appear a product at the end of the day. And I think that's something super, super interesting and super helpful.
I brought back a prop. Let's see if I can get him in focus. There we go. So this is the maquette for the Bugs project that we were pitching. So this was our star character.
That's awesome.
He could cause some trouble.
Is that metal or what material is that?
This is it's painted plasticine.
That's awesome. Today you would probably 3D print such.
Yeah, absolutely.
Much easier to create something. But I think that's also like a big pitching tip I think I hear from you is like, if you have an opportunity to have it like haptically, if you can touch it, I think it always like makes people much easier to say yes to, literally like if you create a book and you already give someone basically like a prototype of the book or something like that, it just feels like more real. It's more like already there, kind of. So I think that's a great one. 98 was actually then the release. There was still 3 years of hard work and maybe reorganization. How did you change the company, and what was the process actually to finish up ANTZ?
So when we started with Dreamworks, when we did the very first deal with them, there were between 90 and 100 people in the company. By the time we finished ANTZ, I don't know the exact number. It was well over 150. I mean, we had to bring in a lot of people, we being PDI and Dreamworks. And a lot of that was much more on the production management side, because we had never produced a project of that magnitude. A lot of the art department were people first brought in. A lot of kind of production management, top level in that area, editorial group, all that. From ANTZ, we rolled into doing Shrek. So Dreamworks had been trying to produce Shrek the entire time we were making ANTZ. And that's their history that you can go read about.
The other CEO I have to interview for that one.
Yeah, it's really interesting what they were trying to do. They thought they could do it with motion capture, so there were a lot of tests there. Chris Farley was the original voice of Shrek. And it wasn't working right. We had another project that we were developing with them that we thought was going to be the next project that we'd produce. But then we pivoted into doing Shrek. And then Shrek, there was a lot of R&D up front. They were interested in doing it as animated characters in model and miniature environments. So there was a lot of exploration about the practicality of that. And we eventually convinced them, and they convinced themselves, that it was much better to do the whole thing as CG. You get a lot more control, you get a lot more flexibility, and it's ultimately going to be a lot less expensive because you don't have to have giant sets of environments. So we went into production on Shrek. And our original deal with Dreamworks was a 3-picture production deal, even though they were 40% owners of the company. And we were most of the way through producing Shrek. And then we continued to grow. So I think by the time Shrek was finished, there were 350 or 400 people in the company. I mean, it was really large.
A lot.
Yeah. Most of the way through Shrek, or near the end of Shrek, is when I was getting really restless to do something else. For me, the journey to producing the goal I had started with of creating animation for TV and films, we had reached. and the goal that we had modified in the mid 80s of we're going to do fully computer animated feature films, we had accomplished, right? So we did everything we set out to do, which would seem like I would be really happy and elated, and it's like, cool, I can just kind of cruise now. We're doing it, and we'll just do more of it and more of it. For me, I found myself getting really restless at this point. And what I discovered about myself is it wasn't accomplishing that goal that was really the great thing. It's going to sound really cliched, but it was the journey. It was the trip. It was everything it took to get there that was really exciting. And I found myself as we were producing Shrek, and there was an amazing team working on that, that the things I was interested in doing was a continuation of the 20-year history we had at that point, which is we have this amazing technology. It's not finished. It's still evolving. The opportunities are still evolving. Where else can we take this? What else can we do with this? And fully animated feature films are not the end of the game, or don't have to be the end of the game.
You are listening to the 21 Artist Show, a podcast that inspires creatives to make meaningful content to pursue their passions. I'm talking with creators, artists, and engineers about their careers, lessons they have learned, and how to make an impact. I'm your host, Alexander Richter. I'm a technical director and coach in visual effects, animation, and games. For more content, go to 21artistshow.com. Enjoy the show.